Hi people, it's me again, Moreno Reisenberg. Um, as the header says in this video, I'll be discussing using people and how it's okay to use people. Okay, using people is fine. People use each other to get what they want, whether it's of a material or immaterial nature. And guess what? It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You need to clearly understand the difference between using and abusing, because people seem to confuse the one with the one with the other, or they just play it fast and loose with the phrase, and they mistake the two for being one and the same. No, that's why you have using something and abusing something. Abusing something means taking advantage of something. So the negative aspect of using someone. So basically using someone in an unjust way or being manipulative in order to gain your own ends. Using someone is literally no different than making use of something that you bought or acquired, some inanimate object. Okay, my cell phone charger cable. This is something that I use. My computer, something that I use. Everything I use. Okay, I make use of it, and it's okay to use people too. Like I said, people in the world use each other for everything. People that you cherish the most, people that you care for, you care about, everything, everyone that you interact with, every living, breathing thing, pretty much. Animals, beloved pets, everything in this world you make use of. Okay, even in the occult, you make use of spirits. You don't abuse. That's when the trouble starts. You make use of the services of what spirits can provide for you, and they firstly make use of what you can provide for them. If you don't give them anything, then don't expect anything. But that's the whole foundation of what trading and bartering in the world is based on. Okay, you give me something I want, and I'll give you something you want. You give me something I potentially need, and I'll give you something that you potentially need, and it's normal. Okay, even when it comes to relationships, whether it's friendship or relationships of a romantic nature, anything that you can think of, this is normal. Employers use employees for cheap labor in most cases, cheap in between brackets, so cheap labor. And friends use each other for emotional gratification. um, um, Lovers use each other for the same thing, for emotional gratification, or and for sexual gratification too. Even people that don't know each other, strangers that have a one night stand with each other, they use each other for sexual gratification. That is my point. People use each other to get what they want, and that's okay. Okay, the reason why it's okay is because it's based on you give me something, I give you something. Okay, it's dual compliant, as in both parties need to agree to it. It's consensual. That's the point. Okay, both parties need to agree. If one of the parties does not agree to it, then it doesn't happen. Okay, that's the difference. Whereas when abusing, one of the parties is at a deficit. One of the parties is being taken advantage of. Only one party stands to gain from the interaction, and the other party, quite the opposite, doesn't benefit from it at all. It's actually a drawback for that other party. That's the difference between using and abusing. I mean, over the course of my life, I've used people too. I've used people to get what I want, as long as it doesn't, and at any cost, as long as that cost does not as long as that cost does not pass the threshold of my ethical or moral code and my code of honor. For the rest, I'm completely good. A simple example that I can give is um, let's just say 2 years ago. Long story short, I hung out with two guys. Most people that follow me, especially in a recreational way, know what I'm talking about. I hung out with two guys that I didn't even know. These guys were cab drivers in my neighborhood, the house where I lived at 2 years ago. This was like 2018, and this was a time when I was at my peak performance as an occultist. I had reached heights that I had never reached before, and I came back from pretty much disaster, from just going from to rags again, from riches to rags again. So I I really lifted up, and as a result, I really sponsor these guys. I pamper them. I'm serious. I paid for, you name it, everything that you can think of, all the fancy places I went to. And these guys are pretty much from the lowest class, so they can't in a million years afford to go to the places I go to and do the things I do. Not in a million zillion years. And you know, people told me, "Wow, you're really way too generous. You're wow, you just pay for these guys wherever it doesn't matter. You just pay for them." I was like, "Yeah, make no mistake, I wasn't lonely or anything like that. I pretty much paid because I amuse myself with them, and that's okay. Okay, for to me, people honestly in general are like when it comes to social interactions, they're like inanimate objects. They serve their purpose or they don't. If they don't serve their purpose, then I don't want them near me. That might sound harsh, but I don't mean it in a harsh way. I mean it in a neutral, flat way. Same way that I showed the extension on, not extension cord, that charger cable. So same thing. People need to be able to, you simply, people need to serve their purpose. The same way that I would not mind spending money on a woman as long as she satisfies me. And I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about overall, whatever benefit she poses to me. And when it comes to those two guys, for example, the thing wasn't when it comes to those two guys, I simply dealt with them not because I took advantage of them or anything. Nah, I just used them. Okay, it was completely consensual. These guys got from me what they got from me is obvious. They got free meal tickets, literally and figuratively, pretty much everywhere. Okay, well, things that they can't possibly afford financially, I could afford it, and I spent that money on them. And not only did I do so, I paid them. Okay, for that. So that's even people told me, "Wow, you're really it's like throwing away money. You pay these guys to go with you, and not only that, you pay them the cab fare and you pay for whatever entry fee you need to pay." I was like, "Yeah." Again, I don't mind. I amuse myself with them. Okay, to me they were no different than a stuffed doll or a toy. Honestly, that's all that they were. Same way that you could buy a rubber ducky. It's the same thing for me. I'm amusing myself with them. Okay, the second they weren't amusing anymore, I completely dropped them. Okay, I threw them away like yesterday's garbage. I was completely done with them. But again, see the difference here. Okay, between using and abusing. I didn't abuse these guys. I used these guys for the purposes of entertainment. End of story. These guys amused me, and we had some good times. We had a lot of laughs. You name it. It was all fun and games. And yeah, now the world nowadays is superficial, and that's what friendship and whatnot is based on. Encounter enough adversity in your life, and you'll see that all of these people disappear. And not only will they disappear, they will actively turn their backs on you, and they'll turn from friend to enemy. I've had it happen to me. That's unfortunately the world we live in. Okay, so in any case, that's simply the example that I wanted to give. Um, I just, life was just back then. Life was just fun, etc. Life was all fun and games, etc. And like I said, after a while they stopped serving their purpose, and I also dropped them. And I have no regrets, to be honest. I have no regrets towards their lack of self worth or their lack of anything. All good things come to an end, and I did a video on all good things come to an end. And again, everything just stops. It's like a gold digger, a woman that's financially inclined and that only cares about a guy's money. I don't have a problem being with a woman that's a gold digger. I don't have a problem spending money on a woman as long as she proves her worth, as long as I can benefit from her. It's a mutual transaction, okay? It's consensual. Both parties agree to it. If she's not satisfied or if I'm not satisfied, it stops. The second that happens, I'm done. I'm done. Okay, I boot her out and that's it. Or she leaves and that's all if she's not happy. But that's what I'm getting at. People use each other all the time, from the smallest, most insignificant things, whether it's something asking someone something simply, for example, seeing a stranger on the street and asking that person, "Hey, do you happen to know when the bus comes by?" That's using someone to get what you want. But of course, it's consensual. If the person answers you, then it's consensual. If the person doesn't answer you, then you don't get what you want, and that person didn't feel like answering you. End the story. If that person answers you, then he agrees to helping you briefly. That's my point. See? everything from the smallest, most insignificant of things to larger things. Um, People, for example, lovers use each other romantically to get that feeling of emotional satisfaction. Okay, when you say you love someone, it's emotional satisfaction. Being with that person makes you feel better, it makes you feel alive, it gives you the high that you wanted, so to speak. And yeah, it's the same thing for that person. If that person doesn't feel the exact same way you do or feels lesser but still agrees to being with you, then that's on that person. Okay, that all varies per people, per individual, etc. People are different. Some people are intense, others are not so intense. Bottom line is that it's still consensual and therefore it's using. It doesn't fall under abuse. Abuse is when one party disagrees to it. Raping someone is abuse. Okay, um, robbing someone, abuse. Bullying someone is abuse. It just goes on and on and on. So yeah, that's it in any case. But again, like I said, it's fine to use people. People are so accustomed to this that they're unaware of it, okay? Make no mistake, people make use of each other all the time. Everything in this world you make use of. At this very moment, I'm making use of my cell phone to record this video, which is attached to a tripod that I'm making use of to keep that cell phone upright while I record and while I talk. I'm sitting on a chair that I'm making use of, okay? I'm wearing clothes that I'm making use of. Everything I make use of, everything people make use of. People are so accustomed to using things, as including people, that they're unaware of it. This is normal, like I said. Okay? People use each other, and it's okay. It's fine. Bye.